What about Sean Payton? What are your thoughts on him? Like,
Gives them some hope and some, you can look forward with a lot of confidence that you found your guy, but I don't think he'd be happy with 10 points, in a
no,
primetime game,
no.
right? And then 18 the week before. But the beauty in it is you're winning and you're learning. And I
Mhm.
think he's still trying to figure out how to create more explosive plays.
What about Surtain? Do you see some of yourself in Surtain?
Well,
This
he's
is
much bigger than I am. He's much smarter than I am. The kids today have so much more information, and when you have somebody like him, the way he's built, he could probably retire and have a chance to get in the Hall of Fame. That's how
it's
good he's
possible.
been.
So, what inspired you to connect with your My Cause My Cleats campaign for with Positive Athlete?
Well, the whole campaign always intrigued me, and just so you understand, like this didn't start until after I retired in 2014. So
Yeah.
I never participated in the My Cause My Cleats campaign throughout my career.
Hmm.
But when it did start, I was like, man, this is such a cool idea. So it always had my attention, but I never thought that I could participate. And, now as a former player, a legend of the game, I'm able to partake. So I thought, being that I'm involved with Positive Athlete and it's such a, athlete driven cause that we serve, it just made sense to try to, marry the two together in this
Hmm.
way. And I didn't think it was possible, but of course, who would resist, promoting a great cause and in partnership with the best sports league in the world, the NFL. So
Positive Athlete focuses on recognizing character and leadership. Why is that kind of the recognition so important for young athletes?
well, one thing we gotta understand is, sports teaches you a lot. And I think most of the time people only focus on the ones that are stuffing the stat sheet, the five-star athlete,
Hmm.
those that, are really great at the sport. But what's happening is, these athletes are learning how to be leaders. They're learning accountability. They're learning, resilience.
Hmm.
These are things that sports teaches you daily. So I think, once I came across Positive Athlete and saw, you know, really what they were trying to do as far as highlight these different characteristics of these kids that were on these team sports or individual sports, but they exude all this high character. And they're great community advocates and support causes in the community. They overcome injuries. And they're not always the ones that are stuffing the stat sheet, but what they're learning is what we want to highlight and pour into. So recognizing these kids is one way, right? We nominate kids across the country. I mean, there's 10 million student athletes in ninth through 12th grade across the country. That's a
That's
that's
crazy.
that's a large body of, but what I think we do best is we recognize them through the leaders that they're around every day. So we empower the ADs, the coaches, the parents to nominate these kids as positive athletes, and it doesn't cost them anything except 5 minutes of their time. But I
Mm.
think there's always, parents, coaches, and people in these spaces that are around these kids that appreciate the ones that show up on time. They're the great teammate.
Uh-huh.
Those are the things that really matter when you transition out of sports. So for us to be able to highlight those and then empower them with some leadership and character development tools, and then connect them with opportunities. I mean, it's the perfect marriage to me, and that's what made me gravitate to it because I think, you know, I think most athletes understand that the chances of going pro in whatever sport you're playing is very slim. Even if you're really
Yeah.
good, it's very, very slim. And, a lot of it's to do with timing, relationships, all these other things that factor into your progression through a sport and when it's going to end. So the writing's not always on the wall, but
Mm.
what we can do is recognize them while they're playing at this high school level because one thing we have noticed is once these kids get recognized, regardless of what they're doing on the field, their confidence shoots through the roof because now they understand the value in other things other than putting the cleats on and going and play. Like, yeah, we all want to win games. We all want to win matches. But at the end of the day, like those games and those matches come to an end. And now what have you gotten out of it? And that's sort of what we play the role of. Everything you've learned is valuable to the real world and your transition out of sports. So let's highlight it. Let's empower more of that. And then let's connect them to opportunities.
When you look back on your time in Denver, what moments stand out the most, like defining points of your Broncos career?
Look, I made a lot of friends, built a lot of relationships, and a lot of those are really strong today. And
Uh,
I tell people all the time, one thing you can't recreate is the locker room. And
uh,
it's just something you can't create on the outside, no matter what. When you're in sports, when you're an athlete, you really have no control over how the locker room comes together. You're just playing and doing your thing. But when you look around, you see so many different faces and people coming from all over the world, all over the country, and
mhm.
now you're all in this space. But what's constant is that one thing. We're all going to try to accomplish this mission that we set forth, and that's winning games, winning championships. So that it just indirectly builds these bonds because you're going through the process. And that's what I love and miss the most about my time in Denver is that locker room and that feeling, understanding that we all got a role to play. I'm gonna be a great teammate. And you could just never recreate that once you leave the game. It's just something that's so
Yeah,
special. I always tell people that all the time. Like there's nothing else that compares to being in a room full of people and y'all have one mission, especially football, ultimate team sport, because you got so many different backgrounds and personalities in one space trying to fight for one thing. And it's
yeah.
special.
That's I've heard that a lot actually
Yeah.
from
I'm sure
retired
most
players.
athletes. Yeah, oh
It's
yeah.
that camaraderie. You can't
You
replace it.
can't.
And yeah,
Nothing you can do to recreate that.
mm.
It's so special in that way.
It's kind of a bummer, but I guess that's what makes it so special, right?
Exactly.
So
I mean,
yeah.
it is what it is. I think, as you can see, like a lot of guys are doing podcasts, they're in these
Mm-hmm.
certain, but those are constructed by them, by themselves. I think when
Mm-hmm.
you're put in a place where you don't have control over who else is on your team, it
Mm-hmm.
it forces you to create bonds that you never thought you could create. And
Yeah,
look, it's a special thing.
I'm sure. Your 2006 season is often considered one of the greatest ever by a cornerback, right?
Yeah.
What made that year so special for you?
Oh man, it really started the year before. It's hard to explain. I could tell you a little bit about, why I made so many plays. I mean, the year before I had 8 interceptions, and what I realized at that time, I was in the prime of my career, but I remember hurting my hamstring, and it forced me to sort of change my technique or my approach and how I covered people. So I started backing up more and just reading the quarterback more. And what it enabled me to do was use my instincts more because now I could see the ball coming out. I could see what was going on. And now all the film study became more impactful because I could prepare and anticipate things a lot faster. And I
Hmm.
was like, again in the prime of my career. So my hands were great. My speed was at the best or the height of my career. So when you factor in all that and I'm seeing the ball, like I'm gonna take it away. So ultimately that's what happened. And
Oh,
it spilled over into 2006, which was an even better year because I was taking the ball away. I went from 8 interceptions to 10. Usually by then people get the message, don't target him, but they
don't
didn't target me.
throw it to
They
your
didn't
side
target me
anymore.
a lot. I think I got
Yeah.
about 2 to 3 targets a game that whole season, and I still came away with 10 picks. So
Jeez.
yeah, it's just one of those things. they allowed me to use the technique. I wouldn't say they allowed, but I was in a position where I just started using the technique that worked for me. And
Mhm.
then, ultimately I just was able to make plays and capitalize off of it.
What does it mean for you to be forever linked with the Broncos franchise?
I mean, it's everything. I think what I tell people a lot is, there's you can see the organizations that are first class. I think
Mhm.
if you really look back at the state of a franchise over the past 20 years, you could probably yourself, without being in a locker room, can point to the organizations that are probably pretty good or high up on the list. And the
Yeah.
Broncos is one of those. Like when I got there, Pat Bowlen, best owner in the game. And he allowed his coaches to coach. He allowed his GMs to manage the way that they do. It,
Mhm.
and it was really just empowering everybody around us, and it trickled down all the way to the janitor in the locker room. I'm telling you, we were surrounded by greatness, but it also took the leadership of a great owner to put us in position to win. That's why the transition of the Walton Penner group coming in, I feel like it was so seamless. Now they're just elevating it. Like they're
Mhm.
doing more, because the standard has been set by Pat Bowlen and his family. They just know that they got to either meet that standard or exceed it, and they're trying to exceed it, which I love. And it's been great. I mean, I have not one negative thing to say about the Broncos franchise and how they've taken care of me.
Nice. What are your thoughts on the Broncos' direction right now in terms of the pieces they have on defense?
Well, as we all know, defensively, I love the old cliche, defense wins championships, and
Mhm.
I firmly believe that. And honestly, I don't know how you win without it. And you can go back to any of these teams that's won championships. Their defense had to be balling. Like you had to be making plays. And it might not have been like that the whole year, but when it mattered most in the playoffs,
Mhm.
that's how you keep advancing in the playoffs. Great defense, getting stops. But I cannot say enough that getting the right quarterback is so much more the icing on the cake. It's like you have to have good leadership, good play at the quarterback position. And I think they found that in Bo Nix. I mean, he's
Mhm.
obviously in his second year, still learning how to play the position, but right now his progression looks really good. So for him, he just got to make sure he manages the game well at this point, because the defense has been so great. Now it'd be nice to have Pat Surtain back out there and healthy,
Mhm.
because it's only a matter of time before they find some weaknesses here and there without him in there. But their front is so good. When you have a great
Yeah.
front like that, you could do anything on the back end. But you want your best player out there.
What about Sertan? Do you see some of yourself in Sertan?
Well,
Since
he's
he's
much bigger than I am. He's much smarter than I am. The kids today have so much more information, and when you have somebody like him, the way he's built,
Mhm.
and he's soaking up all that information, a great athlete. I mean, the sky's the limit. I said it when he got drafted. This kid is going to be on a Hall of Fame trajectory in his
Mhm.
career. And can you argue against that at this point in his career?
Not right now, no.
He could probably retire and have a chance to get in the Hall of Fame. That's how
It's
good he's been.
possible. Yeah, that's
That's
kind of
how
crazy to
good
think
he's been.
about. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's amazing. You can't say that about any young corner around the league. Even myself in my career, like none of us did that much that early to have those type of things said about them. But he's done that, and he's still getting better, which is what's scary. So I look forward to him just elevating and seeing where it goes because
Yeah.
I mean the dude is built to last. So it's more just staying healthy, keep getting better. I mean, I just want to see
Uh-huh.
how his career pans out. But, at
Well,
this
that's
point, it's been very good.
that's the crazy thing about the corner position, right? Like you have to be really good to be known, just to be
Yeah.
known, right?
Yeah.
Like your name, you're synonymous with the corner position, and then there's like what Sertan and Sauce Gardner, right? That's
Yeah.
probably it in terms of like the
Yeah.
guys that people know. So that is the crazy thing, and it's such a tough position to play. I don't know how you guys do it, to be honest.
I don't either. I don't need like think about a guy like Stephon Gilmore. Like when you
Oh
hear
yeah,
that name, you don't think like, oh, he's going to Hall of Fame. But then you have to sit back and say, okay, this
he's
guy
got the
was defensive
resume.
player of the year.
Yeah.
He was defensive player of the year. He played a long time, very consistent.
Uh-huh.
Like that is hard to do what he did, like his career.
Hmm.
So when somebody but at the same time, he's not a name that most people would know unless you're a football fan, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, even Pat, like it's hard to be known as a corner. And you said it best. I'm glad you brought that up because
Yeah.
nobody's that our best plays or our best games are when we don't get talked about or
Right.
when the ball
Or
doesn't come our way,
you're
when we
not
don't
getting
have
thrown
tackles.
to because
Yeah,
they're scared of you, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
nobody knows I have the NFL record for pass breakups. Like nobody knows that. Like
I didn't know
until I
that.
tell them, right? See what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
those are things that don't get highlighted because as a cornerback, you don't want to be talked about. So
Yeah.
generally, being talked about means you're getting your ass kicked. So
That's probably true. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's
Oh
usually how it
man.
goes.
The AFC West has become like one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. I think it has been for a kind of a long time. But
Yeah.
what does Denver need to do to get over the top this year? Because I mean, I think they're in first place right now, and KC's just behind them, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's going to be a race
Or
between them, the
Chargers. Yeah.
Chargers. Yeah, them,
Yeah.
the Chargers, the Chiefs. I mean, same old story. And then the Raiders just kind of try to spoil it for everybody. So, you know, that's usually how it works in that division. But man, it's the quarterback play, right?
Mm,
That's sort of kind of where they are as far as their chances to sort of separate themselves.
mm,
But I think or at least be in the conversation. But I think what's going to separate everybody is how the defense plays because you're going to have some good quarterback play. It's just who's going to stop the best quarterbacks, the Pat
mm.
Mahomes and the kid from what's his name? The Chargers,
Justin
Herbert.
Herbert.
Yeah, Justin
Yeah.
Herbert.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's and who's going to stop Bo Nix? So making it hard for the quarterback. So it's really going to be the defense that separates. Who's going to be at the top.
Hmm.
But again, man, you got to have excellent quarterback play to really make some noise, and to overcome these good defenses.
Hmm. Um, Are there any young Broncos players that you're particularly excited about or think could become stars? I mean, outside of Bo Nix, which we kind of already talked about.
Um, the young running back, Harvey, he is explosive.
What's
So
RJ?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like they're starting to figure out how to use him more, right? And it's
he's
like
helping
that.
out my fantasy team for
There you
sure.
go. See, smart
Yeah,
pick. It's
yeah.
just it's hard to tell when they're gonna really like give him a big load, or are
Mm,
they gonna just give him gadget plays. But I feel like he's gonna be an every down back at some point in his career, and it's
uh-huh.
not just gonna be plays here and there. The good thing for him is he's learning from a veteran in Dobbins. He's got a very seasoned, experienced coach in Sean Payton, so he's surrounded by good leadership that's going to elevate his game. So I'm looking forward to seeing and Jahdae Barron on defense. So if you want one on each side of the ball, I'm looking forward to seeing how he continues to grow. And I noticed, he was on my guy Brock Bowers a lot last night. I got to go back and really watch that and so I can see how they use him because he's so versatile. So just, it's all about timing. Like I can have the things I wish for with these guys, but I'm not in that locker room, right? So for me, I want to see what he's really good at, and I'm starting to learn like what this guy's really good at, and I want to see him make more plays. I think he had a pick a couple weeks ago, his first pick. So it's just little stuff like that that I really look for in these young players, like how they gonna use them and how they gonna take the coaching and continue to get better.
What about Sean Payton? Now, you mentioned him there for a second. What are your thoughts on him? Like, do you like the direction he's taken in? I know it was kind of like a rough start, and the quarterback position's been difficult for him to figure out since at least until they got Bo Nix, right? Bo Nix that gives them some direction.
Yeah, it gives them some hope and some, you can look forward with a lot of confidence that you found your guy, but I don't think he'd be happy with 10 points. in a
No,
primetime game,
no.
right? And then 18 the week before. But the beauty in it is you're winning and you're learning. And I
Mhm.
think he's still trying to figure out how to create more explosive plays because ultimately it's hard to just continue to go first, second, third down, first, second, third down, all the way down the field. You got to create big plays. And when they've made big plays, they won games because the defense is so good. And that's really what I want to see like him do better is how does he create more explosive plays? It could be a personnel thing. It could be just play calling. I don't know, but I can guarantee you he's not happy even after a big win last night.
Yeah, that sounds like Sean Payton.
Yep, it's never good enough.
um, I actually got kind of a funny question here. If you could pick one quarterback from any era to intercept one more time, who would it be?
One more time, or
Yeah,
just
or
somebody
just say, I mean, it's any era, so it could be like
okay,
somebody.
just that. Oh, that I can get one more pick. Okay, I got you. Let's say Dan Marino.
Okay,
I actually played against him my rookie year,
was that his
and
last year?
that was his last year.
Okay.
And he threw a curl route, and I stuck my hand in there and fractured my thumb.
Oh
And we were
no.
going to the playoffs, so I'm in the playoffs with a cast on my thumb. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
I know he fractured. I mean, it just a testament to his arm strength.
Was
But
he
if
just a missile, huh?
yeah, missile. He threw it hard as he could. I stuck my hand in there and fractured my thumb. But he was one of the greats. I mean, he's still in my top five, even with all this, crazy quarterback play as of late.
Mm.
He's just, probably the most talented guy to ever lace him up.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame he never won one, huh? Like
Yeah,
considering how good he was. I mean, everybody
yeah.
talks kind of highly of him.
That's something
Um,
we talk about all the time when we're together. So yeah, great dude too.
what's one story from your playing days that you haven't shared often, but fans would love?
Oh, mm, that's a good question. I don't share them because they're probably not, appropriate.
Well,
Uh,
what you can share,
I could say this. I don't think people realize the teammates and the people I've played with. And just starting my rookie year. So I come in, I got Darrell Green, got Marco Coleman. Then the next year I got Deion Sanders, Bruce Smith, Mark Carrier, like all these
Oh.
guys that were ultimately my mentors and leaders the first few years of my career.
Oh.
And I I think because I played so long, people forget like the first part of my career and who I was surrounded by. And now when I look around the league, all I see is former teammates, coaching. There's very few guys that still play that I played with at some
Hmm.
point. Very few. I think Matt Prater and Von Miller might be the only two I can think of off the top of my head. Um, it's just, I think when I look at my career, man, and all the different talents and personalities I was around, I always have to remind people like, man, this is why I was good because I had such good mentors. I had good coaches. I know I worked hard and I made the plays myself, but ultimately, without their leadership, I don't think I'm in the Hall of Fame. I just don't. I mean, Darrell Green was my coach. So yeah, my first year, Darrell Green was my position coach. And what I mean is, no, he didn't teach me the X's and O's. That was my position coach, Tom Hayes. But every day, me and Darrell Green would have our sessions. And and it started after he watched me for a few weeks. He just wanted to see how I move, what I was good at. And then he took what he was good at and applied it into my game.
Hmm.
And he would just say little things that I still teach today to kids that try to play corner. So look, without him, I'm not the guy I am. I don't have that career because I didn't learn how to play corner until I got around him. Like I
Hmm.
was just being an athlete. I was just a good athlete. Yeah, you run a curl route, I'm all over you. I don't know how, but now I learned how to actually do that and prepare and anticipate. it was all him.
Who's faster in your prime? You or
I would
Darrell Green?
say, he tells this story. He says, I don't, he always says this about himself. I don't know how fast I am. I always ran fast enough to win the race.
Ah,
That was
that's
it.
pretty fast.
Like, like, so I'm never gonna say I was faster than him. This dude was a
He
track guy
was
playing
lightning.
football.
Yeah, he was
He was a
crazy.
track guy that was really good at football.
Mm,
And I can't, man, there's so many guys that I played with and against that were faster. But on the field, you can kind of eliminate some of that, man.
mhm.
But he was by far one of the fastest humans I've been around. Now, he was still fast when I played with him, but I probably could have beat him in a race at that point. But I should have put him to the test, but I would never. Not the old
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, that would have been cool to see.
Yeah, that would have been. That would have been.
Well, all right, champ. That's it. That's all I got for you, man.
Okay. Okay.
Appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, this was
I'll
good, man. I appreciate you.